Hey everybody, my name's William. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Today we're going to be doing another FSEconomy flight in the Cessna 208 Grand Caravan. We'll be flying from Stewart, British Columbia onto Annette Island in Alaska. So, yeah, finally getting the thing into Alaska. I think we'll be keeping it around this area though for the future. So let's get into the planning so we can get on with the flight. I hope you all enjoy. We're on the FSEconomy site now. You can see the aircraft on the ground at Stewart. We have 54 gallons of Jet A on board. We're probably going to want to go ahead and add a little bit more for the flight, even though these two jobs here are what we're going to be taking to Annette Island. And you can see it's just 76 nautical miles to the southwest, and that's basically the route we're going to fly. I had to actually drop a couple jobs here at Stewart for somebody else to take on if they want. Just the airfields aren't in the new flight sim, so they must be in FS 2004 FSX. And this is just kind of a look of what we're doing today. It's pretty basic. I think we're going to fly back down the canal while we build some altitude and then hop over the mountains on our way to Annette Island all the way down here. So that's pretty much it for the planning. Let's go ahead and get into the aircraft so we can get on out of here. Welcome on board the Cessna 208, everybody. We're on the ramp here at Stewart. The ground crew just gave us a lovely pushback. We got them to bring us over to this ramp. If you watched where we parked last time, yeah, we went ahead and decided to be on the slightly larger ramp here on the ground at Stewart. But you can see the FSEconomy client open. Let's go ahead and go to the flight page there, actions and start flight. Let's get our cargo loaded up, and there it is. It's all good to go now, so we'll go ahead and hide the client and get it out of the way. We don't need to see it anymore. Go ahead and go through getting the aircraft ready for startup. Get the condition lever set to cutoff there. Let's make sure we open up both of our tanks. Get our battery on, beacon on, avionics up.
Test. Okay.
Go ahead and press that enter key there. And make sure our ignition's set to on as well. Alright, so we're on the ramp here. We've already got Annette Island plugged into the GPS. So our ground crew's clear of us. We just need to go ahead and start the aircraft up now. So we got our beacon light on, our ignition set to normal, go fuel boost to on, and now then let's clear that, or click that starter. Oil pressure's coming up. Just wait for a moment. Props obviously spinning. Let's get that condition lever set to the low idle position. Fuel flows in. ITT's climbing. Oil pressure is now in the green. Everything looks good so far. Just continuing to monitor. And we'll click the starter off here in just a moment. There it goes. Let's get the starter off. Everything looks like it's in the green. We'll go ahead and pull that power setting back. We'll go fuel boost to normal, condition lever leave in low idle until we're ready for takeoff. Now just got to go through, get the aircraft set up a little bit more for to be ready for our taxi to the runway. We're going to have to back taxi of some sort around here because there's not a whole lot of room to work on the ramp, but we'll be ready to go in just a moment. Alright, so I think we are ready to taxi now. Runway at Stewart is runway 1836. The wind's coming out of the south. It looks like just really light wind out of the south, but it is a pretty short runway, so we're going to go ahead and plan. We got a back taxi either way we cut it, so we'll go down and turn around at for runway 18 on departure. So let's go ahead and start our taxi down. We'll get our taxi light on so everyone knows we're about to move. Get our parking brake off here. Make sure, just double check. Let's get a little bit of power in. And the runway is just right there. We're going to make a left onto the runway. And then taxi down and have to turn around. It's pretty narrow, but we managed to do it when we landed here, so should be able to do it again. Just before we actually go out there, let's go ahead and get our aircraft set up. We look like we're clear all the way around, so let's go ahead and go takeoff flaps out, we'll put that condition lever into full so I don't forget, and we'll get our landing light on as well. Now then, we are ready to go ahead and taxi on down. And go ahead and zoom the map out now so we know what we're doing here on the ground. So let's make our left turn. Such a beautiful area. Just taking the runway and looking down. It's pretty early in the morning here. Sun's still kind of climbing up, but just the lighting, the clouds, everything, absolutely gorgeous. So we'll taxi on down. Like I said, spin it around. We'll hold the brakes there at the end. I'm gonna need to really make sure we get our power setting up and get on out of here. We're going to rotate at 70 knots as always, try and climb right around 110 knots. I have 8500 plugged in on the altitude. We'll see. No real definite altitude plan. I just definitely need to be, if we're going to cut over the mountains, about 6,500 feet. So if we can get a little bit higher than that, then fantastic. So really stand up here so we can see over the nose. We're going to have to use all of the width here. Let's get a little bit of power in so we can keep our momentum up. I didn't want to come to a stop like that. It's okay. We'll just kind of use these toe brakes here. Slowly rotate the plane around. Okay, so we're gonna be lining up here, short of runway 1, or on runway 18 for departure. Like I said, 70 knots, and we're gonna use the canal to basically climb in the canal before we start hopping over. So, runway heading for now, and then just following the canal. Let's go ahead and bring our power setting up. Let's release the brakes. Alright, airspeed's alive. Looking for 70. Just holding center line. There's 60. Almost there. There's 70 and rotate. Continue to build some airspeed here. Let's get our flaps in and really pitch for 10 degrees now. You can see how tall these mountains are around us. We're really going to have to climb, like I said, in this valley. Get our altitude up. It looks like the clouds are right on top of the mountains around this area, but they are kind of scattered out a little bit, so if we need to fly around them, we can. We're 500 feet so far. We still got a bit to go before we can think about really starting a little bit more on course, but at least this first bit of the canal is definitely the direction we're kind of wanting to go anyways. And as we continue further south, the mountains do get a little bit shorter, fortunately. So if you remember the flight in, it wasn't really until like the last 15 miles or so that the mountains really were kind of up there in the elevation. So let's pitch. Well, actually, let's go ahead and continue. We want to get altitude basically as quickly as we can without covering so much distance. So we'll go ahead and keep right around 100 knots for now, and just keep on climbing out of here. It's a beautiful airport. We will definitely be back to visit if anybody needs us to take them to Stewart. I will not be opposed to making another run in. Just forgot, let's see, Got to get our transponder on. It's okay. I mean, we're not talking to ATC right now anyways, but we have it, so we might as well put it on. That's one of those things. It's a habit that's definitely, that's a good one not to let yourself get into either. It's easy to overlook, and that is embarrassing. So 2,500. Still got, oh, I'd say about 4,500. We could start over to the right. Do have some clouds around in this area, but that should be okay. Just have to continue up and kind of pick our moment to go a little bit further to the right. Kind of looks like we could do it right around now, in all honesty. You see this kind of wall of clouds off in front of us, though. I'm not so much worried about going through the clouds as I just want to be able to kind of ensure that we're not going to be going into a cloud and then finding a surprise mountain. Those are never fun, so I think we'll actually go to the left-hand side of this big peak right in front of us. And if we kind of fly this 200 heading, this should kind of allow us to continue to climb in this direction and also start to cut out of the canal a little bit more direct on course. If I really wanted to, we could also go a little bit further left and kind of swerve around these clouds, but I think we're going to pass just beneath this one that we're about to go under. And after that, it looks like we got a little bit of a decent gap until the next couple clouds coming up. So we'll keep this up. We're about 68 miles from Annette Island at the moment. We're still on the climb, but even at this airspeed, we're showing 36 minutes. So that'll be getting better once we start getting a little bit more airspeed. Probably going to get a little bit bumpy here as we get out of the canal and up over these mountains. It definitely looks like that's the tallest peak around. It's the one right in front of us. We're going to be taking down the right side of the aircraft. Let's go ahead and not fly right through that cloud. Let's kind of level, or push the nose down just a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely, you can see the aircraft kind of moving around with all the that wind and everything kind of blowing off of the face of that cliff that we're about to fly over. And on the chart, it looked like the tallest point directly around Stewart was somewhere around 6,300 feet, which I think is this mountain that we're almost up above now. So that is working out nicely, and I think we should be good now all the way up to 8,500. Yeah, you could just see if we push the nose down now, these peaks right here, they're just a little bit below us. We want to go ahead and continue the climb, and just they are really close to us, so we could cut over to the right a little bit more to avoid these clouds directly in front of us, but I'd rather cut a little bit more to the left, kind of fly into that little bit of a break right between them. And then by the time we're up there, we should be right around 8,500 feet anyways, and able to turn a little bit more on course and not have to worry about this stuff so much. You You can see the canal there off the right. It's nice to actually be able to see it. Still got some heavy cloudage going on, which does look great in the light for sure. I definitely stand by thinking that this is an absolutely beautiful area. Alright, just 500 feet to go. Just continuing our way up. I think we can go ahead and cut to the right just a little bit. This looks like a nice clear batch for the cloud cover anyways. There's 8,500 feet. Push the nose down. We might actually go ahead and plan for 10,500. Feel a little bit safer as long as we're still beneath that layer. Let's go ahead and go for that. Like I said, there wasn't a huge plan for the altitude. I just knew I really needed to get at least 6,500 feet. But yeah, 10,500. This looks like this will work perfectly. We'll be sandwiched right between these cloud layers. And a little bit higher will be just fine anyways. The beautiful sky off in front of us. Clouds kind of hiding the mountains now, but this means they can't jump out and get us, hopefully. As long as they're not poking through at our level, I'm good with it right now. So 1,000 feet to go. Let's make sure it actually turns into altitude capture mode. So we'll let the autopilot have a little bit of fun on the flight today. And hand flying the last couple. Go ahead and sync our heading up here to our current heading. We'll arm the heading mode. And let's go ahead and set a vertical speed mode. That should put us in altitude capture. It definitely has. So there it is, 10,500. Pitch the nose down. Start trimming the aircraft down as well to kind of hold it here. Pull the power back a little bit. See all these clouds, all these mountains we're flying over right now. Right in between these two cloud layers. Looks like we could go up even higher if we really needed to, but 10,500, we're not going very far at all. And it should be dropping off too, as far as the terrain is concerned, as we're getting closer and closer to Annette Island. The wind's persisting from the south as we're getting closer to Annette Island. I think we'll be using, well, we've got runway 1230 or 0220. Right now it looks like runway 20 would be the appropriate choice. So we'll see what the wind's like once we get a little bit closer. I'm gonna pitch the nose down a little bit more. Try and get it trimmed out here. Let's go ahead and arm this nav mode. Let's see how crazy it wants to get. We'll put it on half bank mode as well, just so it can't get too crazy with the banking around. Let's go ahead and engage this autopilot and see what it wants to do. See if it's tamed out any. Look at that. It's not going absolutely wild. Nice and smooth, gentle transition over to the autopilot. That is nice. So we're in the cruise. We got 50 nautical miles till Annette Island. We're almost doing 180 knots across the ground. We're looking at 17 minutes until we get there. Let's sit back and enjoy the sights for a little bit. You can see how much the terrain has dropped off now that we're well and truly over Alaska. Clouds thinned out just a little bit as well. The wind is still coming from the south. It's picked up just a little bit. I do think we're going to plan for runway 20 into Annette Island, and that is basically a straight in for us as well. So that kind of works out. We'll start our descent before too long. We're showing 9 minutes out of the airfield. We're doing 175 knots across the ground and about 26 nautical miles from Annette Island at the moment. So we'll probably look to start down here in about 3 minutes or so. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the plan into Annette Island. So in about 3 minutes, be on that descent. Alright, we're coming up on 6 minutes from Annette Island. At least it's our estimated time, 19 nautical miles. We're going to go ahead and start our descent down. Annette Island, it's right around 100 and I think it's 120-ish feet elevation, so we'll just go ahead and plan 1,000 feet in for the initial altitude here to go down to, and we're going to go ahead and start down now as well. We'll set 2,000 feet a minute. Let's keep the power setting in and get it right up here to around the red line, and then pull it on out. Set about 170. And hold around that airspeed. We do have some terrain that we're going to be flying over. You can see out the window first of all, but you can also see on this island down on the map, there's just some little mountains here we got to kind of navigate our way over on the way into Annette Island. I do know runway 20 is at least a decent length. I think it's something like 5,000 feet. I can't remember if all the runways available here are asphalt though, so we will we'll see what it looks like if we need to for any reason. The other runway is runway 1230, and we definitely could go for runway 12 with the wind. Just a little bit more of a crosswind by using runway 12. But this would definitely be the fastest option for us. So we'll see what we can do as far as making this work. You see the mountains in front of us. We're just gonna kind of skate over, and then Annette Island should be just past basically. These last little bits that kind of go out there should be, looks like it might just be hiding behind this cloud. But we're 12.5 miles now. Let's go ahead and get our landing lights on. Sun's coming up a little bit more. Still some really cool lighting. About 6,500 feet, and we're about to dip back down into this little scattered layer of clouds. I think that's got to be light enough to be scattered over broken for sure, but I would definitely call that scattered. Coming down through one right now. Let's actually go ahead and tell the autopilot thank you, but we're going to take over from here. Let's clear out the flight director And we'll come to the left a little bit and kind of see this little dip in the terrain. Instead of aiming right for that peak, we'll kind of sidestep it a little bit to the left. 4,500 feet, it is quite bumpy. So we're over the mountains now. Oh yeah, big bumps. So let's pull this power back. Even though we're going to bust right through this cloud, that's okay. Pull the power back, let's slow ourselves down. It's getting a little bit rowdy like that. And we'll go ahead and continue down now. Just no need to be going through that kind of those kind of bumps near red line on the airspeed. Yeah, this would be getting violent for sure. So we can still see through what's off in front of us here. Just bust through the other side, and actually we hopefully will have the airfield in sight once we're through this little bit of a cloud. I think I see it over there. Just off to our right a little bit. It definitely looks like the airfield. So that's 2-0. That runway looks like it'll work. Even if it is, it looks like it's got to be gravel or asphalt. I mean, obviously. So we're in a Caravan. We can suck it up if it's gravel. Nothing like a little bit of gravel dust on the paint here of the Caravan. I'll make this approach a little bit more fun too. Just flying right between these mountains. This is Annette Island's a little bit flat, but let me tell you, this island right next to it, it's got quite a lot going on. So 150 approach flaps, 125 full flaps, 85 knots for our approach speed. We are 3 miles out and we are not configured, but the Caravan is a absolute beast at doing this. So let's get below 150, right there, approach flaps. Let's watch this speed absolutely shed off. Pull the power back. Now then, let's get to 125. We can continue to descend with these approach flaps out and get down to 125. There it is, full flaps. Now then, let's get on for 85 knots. We are lined up, runway 20. A little bit high, we're about 5 knots fast. Honestly, this is a perfectly acceptable approach though, at this point.
500.
And we're coming down to 85 knots. Yeah, the Caravan, you can get yourself woed up and just fine for the approach. Super late, super close to the airport. It's a little bit windy here. Just focus on trying to keep somewhat down the center of the runway. Right rudder. There we go. It's kind of weird that the edge of the runway's cut out right there. Okay, we are down. That was a very gentle landing. I was trying to just set the right main gear down first to really kind of soften that. That felt like a lot more crosswind than what we were actually getting. But it looks like we're just going to taxi all the way to the end here. Yep, we'll taxi all the way to the end. Go over to the right. There's an airplane or two parked over here, it looks like. A big old hangar. Let's go ahead and get the aircraft cleaned up. Just double check that this looks clear before we go ahead and just waltz across it. Looks clear to me, so let's go ahead and go. We'll get our taxi light on. I'll leave everything else on for the moment until we're completely clear. Transponder on standby. I'll remember to turn it off, but I will definitely forget to turn it on. And we'll taxi on over to the ramp here. We've got a couple aircraft on the ground. Like I said, I think we're going to go on over to that big hangar. We'll complete our flight. Hope you all enjoyed flying along today. Always love having you guys. Love the support. I'm glad that at least some of you guys enjoy these flights. I have a blast doing them, so. Let's go to the, yeah, let's go off to the other side of this van. He's going to park right in my way. And we'll spin the Caravan around right here in front of the hangar. People a nice short walk to inside. Alright, so that is us parked here. Let's go ahead and get the client open. We will set the parking brake. That's all we have to do here is be on the ground, set the parking brake. That will log our flight in the server. You can see everything disappear there, and the aircraft is now on the ground and available at Annette Island. So we got it to Alaska after several absolutely beautiful flights in British Columbia. I think this is going to be the aircraft's home, this kind of area for sure. But we are now ready to go ahead and go through shutting down the aircraft. So start getting everything off, pitot heat off, stall heat off, taxi light off. We've got to leave the beacon on while the engine's still running. We can go ahead and get the fuel boost off, avionics off, and then the condition lever to cut off. We can turn our beacon off now. Close up the fuel tanks, and then hit this battery switch. That will be us on the ground and parked at Annette Island. Like I said, thank you all so much for joining me today. I love having you guys along. I hope you did enjoy the flight. If you did, make sure to give the video a like. Subscribe if you want to see more content. As always, until next time, bye-bye.